In this video, we're going to be looking at the revision of finding the equation of a hyperbola. This question is a very interesting question. You'll see what I mean when it says it's a very interesting question. Perfect. So, guys, when we have to find the equation of a graph, as I said earlier, you need to identify how many unknowns you have, right? Sharp. So, I'm going to go to my thing. Where's my cursor? Okay, I'm going to go to my thing. So I have K, which is unknown, right? I have Q, which is unknown. I have P, which is unknown, right? Sharp. X is known. Remember, I said is the input, and then Y is known. Remember, H of X just means Y, right? So H of X is known because it's the output. Perfect. Okay. So now you are going to do this. You are going to say, okay, firstly, I'm going to always find my Q and P. Ne? You always find your asymptotes, basically, your Q and P. Okay, so firstly, I'm going to say, okay, H of X equals to K all over X, and then I look at the X asymptote. Remember, the X asymptote is the one that crosses through the X axis. So it's this line here, the dotted line here is on -2. Ne? Okay, if it's -2 here you have to have +2. It's always opposite. Ne? You need to know that. If it was +2 here we're going to have -2. So the X on the function and on the graph, they are opposites. Ne? You need to know that. Okay, perfect. And then from there, we need to get Q. Remember, Q is what crosses on the Y-axis, right? The reason I was saying this one is interesting is because we are used to being given a Q, but in this case, they didn't give us a Q. Okay, perfect. You don't have to worry because we have 2 points here. Ne? The first point is basically 1 coordinate 0, which is our x-intercept. And then the second point is basically 0 coordinate -1/2, which is your y-intercept, right? So now our graph looks like that. How many unknowns do we have now? You have 2 unknowns, right? The number of unknowns must be equals to the number of points that you have, which is the case in this case, because I have K and Q, which is unknown. Here I have this point, I have that point. So I can easily do simultaneous equations. Remember, this is my X, that's my Y, right? This is my X, that's my Y. So I can solve this simultaneously. I'll firstly start by substituting this point into the graph. I can see that, okay, the Y value is 0 equals to K over Y plus 2 and then plus Q, right? Okay, perfect. And then from here, I can see that, okay, let me try to simplify this further. I'm going to say, okay, let me move the Q that side. So I have -Q equals to K, 2 plus 1 is 3, right? And then I'm going to multiply both sides by 3 so that the 3 can cancel. So this side, I'm going to have -3Q equals to K, right? Then this we can call it my first equation, right? I'll call this equation 1. Okay, perfect. And then the second equation now, this point we're done with it, we cancel it out. We need to use the second point now, right? Okay, on the second one, I see that, okay, my Y is -½ You're still substituting into there, né? And then you have K all over, the X is 0 now, so you have 0 plus 2, and then you have plus Q, right? Okay, and then from here, you can see that, okay, let's move this side so that you can see properly. Okay, so now we can start. Okay, so you see, okay, let's simplify this guy here. So it's -½ equals to K over 2 plus Q over 1, right? Sharp. So here I'm going to try to make everything over 2 so that the denominators can disappear. Ne? So here I'm going to multiply by 2 over 2 so that the 1 will times with that. Ne? Perfect. Then therefore I have -1 equals to K plus 2Q. right? Perfect. But okay, let me just show an arrow from here. We're gonna move there. Before I go there, remember we said where we see k, we can put negative 3q, because k equals to negative 3q. So I'm going to rewrite this. Ne? So I have -1 equals to k plus 2q. Okay, but here I can replace with there, because this guy is the same as k. Okay, so I'm writing -1 equals to, where I see k, I'm going to put negative 3q plus 2q. Okay, then I have -1. This is alike terms. They left me with negative q, right? Then I'm going to take the q that side, negative q that side to become q. Then the 1 will go that side to become +1. Then we got our value of q. So the value of q is 1. So which means here I can conclude that the y asymptote is 1. Remember, the q doesn't change. It doesn't switch. Only the x asymptote switches. Ne? Perfect. Now, I got my q, I can get my k. Remember, we said k equals to -3q. Therefore, -3, we put 1 because q is 1. Then k equals to -3. Right. And then we are sorted now. We can write down the equation of the graph. Ne? Let's check. Let's go back there. So the graph was, let's see. What am I doing? The graph was, let's check. It was h of x. Okay. So we have h of x equals to, we had x plus 2 at the bottom, I think. Yes, k is -3. Okay. So we have -3 over x plus 2 plus 1. Then that is the function, right? And then from here, ladies and gents, I just want to discuss some extra things that I think you need to know, that are compulsory to know for a hyperbola. Ne? Perfect. So you need to know how to do the domain of h of x. You need to know how to do the range of h of x. You need to know how to do asymptotes. You need to know how to do the axis of symmetry lines. Axis of symmetry. Sharp. Okay. Domain and range, it's easy. Ne? Before you do domain and range, I advise you to start by stating your asymptotes. Ne? Hyperbola has 2 asymptotes. This one is your y. The number on the side here is always your y asymptote. And then x is opposite this number here. Ne? So if you have +2, here you're going to have -2. If you had -2 here, then you're going to have positive. Sure. Then domain and range becomes easy now. Ne? The hyperbola exists in all x values. So you're going to say x elements real, but x cannot be whatever the asymptote is. So x cannot be 2. So you always say x elements real, x not equals to asymptote. Range y elements real, y elements real, y not equals to 1, because 1 is your asymptote, right? Perfect. Now let's do the axis of symmetry lines. There are 2 axes of symmetry line. The first one there, the second one I'll put it here. I'll separate them with an or. Ne? You need to be careful how I do it. So you take this guy and that guy. Ne? So it's x plus 2 plus 1. That is x plus 3. This is the axis of symmetry line with a positive gradient, or that is increasing. The question will be, never really ask for both in the examinations. They always want you to solve for one, and they'll be specific which one they need. Ne? Perfect. And then the second one, guys, you see this part here. You are just going to reverse all the signs here. So this becomes -x. That becomes -2. The last one always stays the same. So you have -x minus 1. That is your second axis of symmetry line of the hyperbola. Okay. And then, ladies and gents, I also expect you to be knowing how to do sketching. I expect you to know how to do x and y intercepts and many more, right? So if you found this video helpful, like always, please don't forget to hit the subscription button and to share with family and friends. and advise them to do so. I hope this video added value to your journey of mathematics. Thank you very much. Aluta continua. Tango.